You know, it occurs to me that my YouTube channel is pretty one-track, that I don't really talk about anything beyond religion and science and stuff. So today I thought I'd give you guys just a brief overview of other stuff that I think about and that I may or may not make videos about in the future. So here we go with my views on things. Politics are messy, but for what it's worth, I'll just say that I agree with the liberals. I would call myself a liberal. I'm kind of disappointed in Obama because he's kind of spineless, but he's done good things like the not being able to turn away someone with pre-existing conditions and repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and all that stuff. You know, I think we should get money out of politics, which would mean repealing Citizens United, because then, of course, you get what's happening now, which is where politicians get bought out by companies. Well, bought out, their legislation gets paid for by big companies, and it's always funny when a big company forgets to take their name off of the bill, and then they have to like quickly pretend that didn't happen, and then reintroduce it. And it's like a really Orwellian kind of thing that people don't seem to care about in day-to-day life. So that's politics for you. As Bill Hicks once said, let's lighten it up and here let's talk about abortion. Now, as a self-described liberal, as I just described myself, it makes sense that I would be and am pro-choice. And to back that up, I would say the violinist argument gets you as far as rape, and then there's all the science about fetal pain for X number of weeks. I think it was 24 is the cutoff before which there's no evidence that they can feel pain, or all that stuff. So this is one of those messy topics that I don't want to get into on my channel among pretty much all of these that I have listed. So don't start a comment war about this, it's just my views on that. Hi, I'm a Mac, and I'm a computer. Everybody's always talking about gun control, gotta get rid of the guns. I don't know. I'm seriously torn on this issue, because on the one hand, there's, you know, all the stories and the video stories, like even the Young Turks, a very liberal news site on YouTube, news people on YouTube, will do stories where it's like, I'm sorry, the gun saved the day. The guy comes in with a knife, slashing people, store owner takes out the gun, shoots the guy, problem solved. It's like, okay, how much more clear-cut could it be? But then at the same time, there's the whole conceal and carry business, where Stephen Colbert did a story on clothing that was meant to conceal weapons without it being obvious that there's like a gun-shaped bulge in it, you know? And so he says, this is great. Now, no one is going to try to pull anything, because for all they know, anyone could have a gun. That means that we're all safe, as long as we don't make any sudden moves. And it's that kind of thing. So I really don't know. I'm divided on this issue. Don't ask me for my view on that, because honestly, I can't say what it is. Art is something I wanted to include because it seems to enjoy somewhat of a protected status depending on the type of art. Now, I'm an engineering major, of course, I'm biased, I don't have anything to do with art, and I'm not talking about like a landscape painting or, you know, a painting of a woman holding a baby or something. It's like, okay, I can look at that and say, okay, that's really pretty, or, you know, the landscape is nice, that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that gets into the Museum of Modern Art at Chicago, the very abstract stuff, and it just seems to enjoy this protected status. Now, it's one thing to say, like, okay, there are artists and art appreciators, just like there are video game creators and video game players, and, you know, that's fine. Everyone can have their own little thing. But it's when you get into things like Art Appreciation Day, it seems to be that there's this message in society that says that we need to appreciate art. You know, not just because it's like pretty and people can appreciate pretty things if they want to, if that's their thing, just like video games. But there seems to be something more to it where people just say, like, you have to like it or something like that. You know, when was the last time you had a video game appreciation day at school? So that's a tiny little tidbit of irritation that goes on in my mind with all this really out there kind of art. So I thought I wanted to include it just to say it, and that's it. Debating is something that I've had to think about for a long time, and being on YouTube as long as I have, I've learned basically be polite. Be so goddamn polite. Don't be an asshole. Because that's the reason people don't want to debate a lot of the times when a controversial thing comes up. They're like, no, 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 no. Is because people can't deal with it without turning it into a shit fight. So, god damn it, please be polite. If you're ever in a debate, just Just sit down, shut up, listen to what the guy has to say, or girl, doesn't matter, and just think about it. Sit down, think, don't be afraid to like put your feet up and just, you know, think back a little pensively. Make sure you understand what they're saying, okay? And then be polite. Don't, God, just, that's what I strive to do. I mean, with the YouTube videos, it has to be entertaining, so I take some jabs at them, but you just don't turn it into a shitstorm. Seriously, just don't do it. There was a movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, where Steve Martin, whoever he's playing in the movie, comes up, his rent-a-car isn't there, so he comes up to the counter for the rent-a-cars, and, you know, the lady's having a good day, smiling, talking on the phone, and he starts swearing at her like, "Fuck you!" And he just, oh god, it was a hilarious rant. But at the end, when he asks, you know, "What can you do for me?" she's like, "You're fucked." And that's when my dad turned to me and said, "Son, you never get anywhere in the world by being an asshole." There you go. Gay marriage, I don't see why it's an issue, other than religious reasons, which of course those are going to always be overcome by the fact that we live in the United States in a secular government. So of course I would maintain, as proponents of gay marriage do, that the standard for if people can marry is if they are legal consenting adults. Now, of course, the counter-argument to this is, well, what about polygamy? And I say, sure, why not? I mean, and, you know, what's wrong with polygamy? It's uncommon, it was weird for me, but if they're legal consenting adults, why the hell not? Now, the other argument could be made, well, what about the children of a polygamous marriage? Maybe they could be abused or neglected or something. It's like, okay, fine, that's why we have Child Protective Services. If you don't think that Child Protective Services is up to the task, then worry about them. Don't worry about what people are doing as responsible, well, not responsible, but as legal consenting adults. Responsibility may vary. Feminism has been a changing topic for me throughout the years, and I think I've sort of leveled off where TJ the Amazing Atheist here on YouTube has leveled off to, which is forget the whole distinction between like feminists and, you know, masculists or men's rights extremists. Just call them equalists. Can't we just all be equalists? There's no point in pushing from one side or the other, because both men and women suffer from oppression. Of course, women, there's all the stuff you've always heard about, and for men, there's also things like that they don't usually get custody of children, even if they are the better equipped parent, either responsibly, financially, or both. You know, men don't get as much money put into prostate cancer as women do for breast cancer and all that kind of stuff. So there's problems on both ends, and it seems kind of useless to try to solve the problems on both ends by focusing on the problems of one end. And again, that's something that TJ the Amazing Atheist has said. Obviously, I'm not as extreme as him in like yelling in my videos and calling people whores on forums as he did apparently recently. I don't remember what fiasco that was. But yeah, that's my thing on feminism. It's just like, just focus on both genders. There's stuff wrong with both of them. There's stuff being oppressed in both ways. So there's no point in siding with one or the other, feminism or masculism. Just realize that people are people, you know? What's wrong with that? And that's the end of that. That's basically all the stuff that I probably am not going to make videos on, but thought you may enjoy hearing about for some reason. And if you have any other questions, put a comment, send me a message, like this video, have a nice day.